It began with the smallest of cracks in the surface, an odd pause mid-sentence, a glance that lingered too long, a laugh that didn't belong to the moment. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. After all, Emma and I had nearly 8 years of marriage behind us. We had weathered our share of storms, tight budgets, 2 devastating miscarriages, an uprooting move. Through it all, we'd held on to each other. So I chalked the feeling up to stress. But deep inside, something felt off. We lived in a quiet suburb in North Carolina, the kind of place where people wave from their driveways, where kids ride their bikes past trimmed hedges, and where the smell of barbecues carries softly on weekend breezes. The kind of place that masks secrets behind manicured lawns and practiced smiles. Our neighbor, Troy, was a friendly type, too friendly. Always shirtless when mowing his lawn, always lingering a little too long in conversation when Emma was outside. Divorced, in his late 30s. Too smooth for someone who didn't seem to work much. I used to laugh it off. But one sunny Saturday in June, I saw them talking in our driveway. I had just come back from the store and slowed my car before turning in. Troy was leaning against his truck, arms folded, smirking. Emma laughed. Her hand briefly touched his arm. She didn't even notice I was home. That laugh, it wasn't the laugh she gave me anymore. It was lighter, freer. That night, I asked her casually if Troy ever stopped by when I was at work. She blinked, smiled, and said, "Not really, just neighbor stuff." But she wouldn't meet my eyes. So I started watching. I didn't accuse, didn't yell. I simply grew quieter, more deliberate. I rearranged my schedule, came home early, took alternate routes. I installed a motion-activated camera on the porch, another in the garage. Subtle things. She never noticed. 3 weeks later, I had my answer. It was a Wednesday. I was supposed to be in Charlotte for a client meeting, but instead, I parked 2 blocks down and waited. At exactly 11:42 a.m., Troy pulled into our driveway. On my phone screen, I saw Emma open the door, smiling, stepping aside to let him in. No hesitation, no glance behind her. I waited. 1 hour. 2. At 2:15 p.m., Troy walked out adjusting his shirt. Emma kissed him on the cheek as he left. That laugh again. Careless. Intimate. I didn't feel rage. I felt something colder. A detachment. A sharpening clarity. So I got to work. I gathered everything. Footage, screenshots, timestamps. Backed them up 3 times. I called an old college friend in cybersecurity. Someone who owed me a favor. He helped sync the video footage with GPS logs from Emma's phone. I had mirrored it weeks before, copying her movements to spare device. Then I waited. I acted the part, loving husband, patient listener. I cooked dinner, planned a weekend getaway, even kissed her goodnight. She never suspected a thing. A week later, I invited Troy over for a drink, told him Emma was out shopping. We sat on the back porch, clinking beers under the dusk sky, pretending we were just 2 friendly neighbors. Then I asked him, "You ever think about loyalty, Troy?" He froze mid-sip, smile caught somewhere between arrogance and panic. I played the footage on a tablet. No audio, just images. Him walking in, her letting him, the kiss, the touch, that damn laugh, his face drained of color. "You should leave," I said. Calm, steady. He stammered, but I cut him off. "Before I send this to your ex-wife or to your employer, Oak Ridge Security, right? I'm sure they'd love to see it." He didn't argue, just left pale and silent. But I wasn't done. That weekend, I took Emma to a secluded cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Candlelight, wine, a fireplace crackling low. It was perfect. On the last night, I handed her an envelope. Inside were printouts, screenshots of text she thought she had deleted, a USB loaded with footage. Every lie in full color. She stared at it like it burned her fingers. I didn't say a word, just watched her. Then came the tears, the trembling voice, apologies, explanations. It was a mistake. He meant nothing. It was a confusing time. I listened. Then I stood up, grabbed my bag, and said, "We're done." She followed me to the car, crying. I didn't raise my voice, didn't slam the door. I just drove away. She returned home days later to find the locks changed, her photos gone, and divorce papers waiting. I kept the house. I'd planned for that too. Betrayal, it turns out, sharpens your sense for negotiation. Troy moved out of the neighborhood a month later. Couldn't handle the whispers. I never told anyone what happened, but people aren't blind. They noticed when he stopped showing up, when Emma's face lost its light, when she started parking in her sister's driveway instead of her own. I rebuilt my life in silence. Emma kept trying to reach me. 4 months. Text after text, email after email. Some were full of apologies. Others tried to rewrite history. And then came the bitter ones. You just walked away. I made one mistake. You never gave me a chance. That one stuck with me. Not because it was true, but because it revealed how little she understood. To her, the betrayal wasn't something she did. It was something that happened. A misstep. A symptom. Not a choice. But it was a choice. She kissed me goodbye in the morning. Then let another man into our home. Not once. Not twice. Multiple times. That takes calculation. I never responded. Not once. My silence was a final word. The divorce went through clean. My lawyer called it one of the easiest he'd handled. In North Carolina, infidelity still means something in court. She didn't even fight for the house. I think she knew she didn't deserve it. I kept our dog, Murphy. He never liked Troy anyway. Weeks after the divorce, I saw her, sitting alone in her car outside the grocery store. Her hair was Messier, her eyes tired and swollen. She saw me, hesitated. I walked right past. A few days later, I got a call from Troy's ex-wife, Rachel. A mutual friend had passed her the footage I had anonymously shared. She called to thank me, not out of anger or revenge, just peace. She finally had the closure she never got during their marriage, and now custody. Troy lost his job 2 months later. Something about conduct unbecoming. His friends drifted away. Even the ones who used to drink with him didn't want to be seen beside the man who sneaked into another man's house. As for Emma, she moved in with her sister. She couldn't afford rent on her own. Tried dating again. But no one stayed long. Maybe it was guilt. Or maybe people can smell broken trust. Like smoke on clothing. Impossible to wash away. I took a trip. Just me and Murphy. Drove down the coast. Stayed in small towns. Watched sunrises over quiet beaches. And in Savannah, I met someone. Her name was Leah. She ran a small bookstore. She had this calm presence, a strength that didn't need to be loud. We started with coffee, then long walks, and silence that didn't feel empty. She didn't pry, didn't play games. She just listened. When I told her everything, she didn't flinch. She looked me in the eye and said, "You didn't lose her. She lost you." And that stayed with me. People who betray you expect chaos. They expect shouting, begging, fire, and storm. But silence and success, that's what truly haunts them. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't rage. It's living a life they don't get to be part of.